Okay, this video is a continuation of factoring trinomials. This is part 2, or we could say level 2 example. Okay, we're still using the reverse box method, but I'm going to do another practice problem. All right, so this is an example. Again, it's level 2 for the assignment, but we have 5x squared minus 9x minus 2. All right, this is a trinomial where a is greater than 1, and we want to factor it. So we're going to start with the x game. Remember, we multiply a times c, okay? So I'm just going to write that down. That's 5 times negative 2. And 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So we're finding the factors of negative 10 whose sum is the b, which is negative 9. So negative 9. And again, remember, that's what we're looking for here. The factors of negative 10 whose sum is negative 9. Well, if you think of the factors of 10, it's really just 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. Okay? And if we need to multiply 2 of these to get a negative number, then one of them has to be negative. And if we need them to be, if the sum has to be negative, then the larger number has to be negative. So we're going to use 1 times 10, and we're going to make 10 negative, and we're going to make the 1 the positive. So let's go ahead and write those answers in there. That's going to be negative 10 and 1. All right. Now, again, we draw our box. We're going to do the reversed box method. So we draw the box. We enter our numbers. So this is going to be the 5x squared, and then this section is going to be the negative 2. So let's go ahead and fill that out. So we have 5x squared and negative 2. Then we look at the factors that we used, and we write them in these empty diagonal spaces or with the x, all right? So we have a negative 10x for this one, and then we have a positive 1x for this one, so we would put positive x, okay? Now we are looking to pull out or find the greatest common factors. Remember, we need a greatest common factor of the rows and a greatest common factor with the columns. And then once we pull out those greatest common factors, then we have our factors of this trinomial, okay? So let's start with this row here at the top. We have a negative 10x and let's change that real quick. So we have a negative 10x and a 5x squared. What is common? What's the greatest common factor here? Well, we have a 5 and a 10, okay? So 5 is actually the greatest common factor of 5 and 10. So we can take out the 5, but we also have an x squared and an x, so then we can take out an x, all right? So x. All right, now let's go down to this row. We have x and a minus 2. Well, there's nothing in common here. So when there's not a greatest common factor, what we actually take out is just the 1, okay? So we're going to take out a 1, and that is a plus 1, all right? Now let's move to our rows. So we have a negative 2 and a negative 10x. We're looking for the greatest common factor here. Well, 2 goes into 10 evenly 5 times. So the greatest common factor of these two is going to be the 2. And they're both negative, so we're actually going to pull out the negative 2. So negative 2. Now, the x, they both don't have an x, so we can't really take out an x. It's not a factor, okay? So now let's take a look at the x and the 5x squared. okay? Well, the 5 and the 1, nothing can be, no factors there, but we have an x and an x squared, so we can take out the x, okay? So here we take out the x. All right, so your factors of this trinomial are 5x plus 1 and x minus 2. 5x plus 1 and x minus 2. And again, you can always check your work. You could create a box here, but you'll notice when you multiply 5x times x, you get 5x squared, and then 5x times negative 2 is negative 10x, and 1 times x is x, and 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Combine your x's, and we're good. So we have done this one correctly.